Welcome to the Leader to Leader podcast. I'm your host, Susan Spears. Our guest today is Brittany Doughty. She is a financial advisor and assistant vice president at Cary Street Partners here in the Fredericksburg, Virginia region. Brittany, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Susan. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to have you. Folks, if you are not familiar, if you're not from this region or don't know us, I need to tell you a little bit about the shining star in the Fredericksburg region. So Brittany's one of those people that's just a natural leader. She went to the University of Mary Washington here in the heart of our region. And during that time, she interned at Cary Street Partners. And, you know, they're smart because they're like, oh, no, she's not just going to come and go as an intern. We're going to scoop her right up. I'm speaking for them because I don't work there, but I watched it from the side. And while she was doing these things, she was really getting involved. She was on committees at the University of Mary Washington that interfaced with actual business community folks. So while she was getting her Bachelor of Science in Business Administration with a minor in economics, smart. She was involved with things like, Young Professionals Committee at the UMW College of Business, or different things, the Women's Colloquium Advisory Board and so forth. Whether she just sat in or became involved or whatever, she's participated some while she was interning, and definitely a lot since she joined the professional world. Right away, becoming involved with Rappahannock Fredericksburg Rotary. They have a satellite club, which is a really great launching pad into the community. And she didn't just join that group. She's the past president. Your year went by really quick, didn't it?
It sure did.
Yeah, that was just last year. So this is 2025. And the years in Rotary are the July 1 kind of year, but so it's really just behind her. But she did a great job with that, and she's helped with being the public relations chair for the Financial Planning Association of Central Virginia. You know, that's pretty cool too. Being earlier in her journey and already holding roles like that. She graduated from Leadership Fredericksburg in 2024. You hear us talk about that a lot. This is a leadership podcast. And earlier this year, our Next Generation of Business Leaders group recognized Brittany as the Young Professional of the Year. That was so cool.
That was a wonderful night.
Yeah, she's like, thanks, Susan. Thanks. How long have you guys been married now?
About a year and a half.
Year and a half.
Yeah.
So you were getting married towards the end of Leadership Fredericksburg. Yeah.
That's
and as
right.
I look at your bio, she likes to be near outdoors and near the water, making memories with her husband, Theo, and their golden retriever, Bubbles.
Bubbles.
You guys know I have Theodore, Miss G, but how much cuter a name can you have than Bubbles?
It's hard to get mad at her because you have to kind of yell Bubbles.
Bubbles, and you can't get mad at a golden retriever ananyway.
That's true.
Right?
Yep.
So I'm sure that whole golden retriever thought that we just had will come back as we talk.
Probably, yeah.
Because, that's just like, oh my gosh, if they say you are what animal are you like and all that, and a golden retriever is just the nicest. Mine are Labradors, but golden even, and it kind of fits you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That's
This
so
is
sweet.
one of the kindest, nicest people I know. So, Brittany, that was my long intro of you. So I'd rather hear from you now. Tell us from your perspective about your leadership journey.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for that kind bio, Susan. And in that, you called me a natural leader, which is so touching to hear, because I'd say my leadership journey has evolved so much since I started kind of viewing myself as a leader, but that has really changed over time. I think the first time that I viewed myself or perceived myself as a leader was actually in college. I played tennis at Mary Washington, and oftentimes, in sports teams, sometimes like the best player is named the captain,
Right.
which due to that, I knew I was never going to be the captain and didn't have necessarily that specific title as a leader. And before that moment, or that time period of my life, I kind of thought that you needed the title to fit the leader. And throughout, my last couple of years of college, I really started to take on more leadership roles in our team, try to figure out where I could be most helpful if it wasn't the best player, if it wasn't technically the captain. And that's where, I noticed people starting to come to me with issues or really being able to be a sounding board for my teammates, trying to be the best teammate possible. And then I really felt like a leader, even though I didn't have that title. I didn't need that title. I've sort of always been like more of a behind the scenes player. And I'm fine with that. I don't necessarily need that. So, but it was nice to feel like I could still make a difference as a leader on our team without necessarily holding that title. And so that was sort of the first time I felt that. And then as I graduated and started working my career, I was just trying to be a sponge and learn everything as much as possible. And
you did.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I think it was just saying yes to every opportunity that I possibly could. I still am sort of in that wheelhouse. I love learning. I love working hard. So really saying yes to some of those opportunities pushed me out of my comfort zone, but also I think has kind of driven me into more of a leadership role. Same with Rotary, same with my Financial Planning Association. I mean, those are both roles that I wasn't stepping up to become a leader, but I was asked to volunteer for certain roles, and then those continued to progress. And those are things that I wasn't naturally excited about or not necessarily not excited, but just not comfortable with. They were out of my comfort zone, especially the public relations. That was a brand new position. Had to learn a lot about that for the Financial Planning Association. And then, same with Rotary. I was more comfortable just being an active participant. Loved being on the board. I was a secretary for years before I was the president. And that was a comfort zone for me.
A comfortable role, yeah.
Exactly. And then, the president really pushed me into that next level of my leadership, but amazing journey, through Leadership Fredericksburg. I was also pushed out of my comfort zone. That's really a theme, I'd say, like in my progression in life is just every single time I'm out of my comfort zone. I know it sounds cliche, but like for me, it has been the best possible thing for me.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And it's a lot of time spent outside of the comfort zone so early in your journey. And so that's impressive. And it's been fun to watch, having been around and seen you through this. It's easy to see that you have a great relationship ability, like especially one-on-one with people and so forth. But over and over again, you're selected to be on that panel to speak or to lead that group. And instead of kind of saying, I'm more comfortable over here, like as secretary, you went ahead and said, okay, I'll push myself, Yeah. And we worked together. We did a lot of stuff. I'm also in the same Rotary Club on the other side, not the satellite side. But there was a lot of governance and things like that. So you learn that the time that you're on the microphone or in front is minimal compared to what leadership is behind the scenes. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with you. And I think it's important to view leadership kind of holistically across your life rather than just in the workplace, because, I've learned, potentially this same magnitude about leadership through my Rotary presidency versus really any other aspect of my life. And so I think it's important to just expand your horizons in that area because you're around different people. You're around, in my work, I'm around, actually, there are a lot of people who aren't from the finance industry, but still we're all in the finance industry now. So we have those things in common. In different groups, like, Rotary, everybody's from a different industry. Everybody comes with totally different background, different expectations, different goals for their future as part of Rotary. So I think it's really important to have those different experiences. But it, of course, also comes with a lot of governance, to your point, and dealing with different issues potentially that you may not be exposed to.
Right.
And those can be challenging, but I'm so glad that I had those experiences because every time we've gone through something like that, I've learned so much, and it's only made me better because those are going to continue to happen. I'm sure of it.
Oh, sure. Yeah. It's been a lot.
Certainly.
And you've come through this time like right off the backside of a COVID era. So to come out of that in such a positive way is really commendable. When you think about your leadership style and maybe think about how you perceive it and what do you think the folks that work with you, whether it's in the community or at work, how they would describe your leadership style?
Interesting. Yeah. I hope that they would describe it as someone that leads by example. That's something that I've always tried to be, is someone that others would like to emulate. So for example, if I think that someone needs to work harder, I want to work even harder to make sure that they can look up to that and want to.
You want them to see
that.
your example.
Exactly.
Now, how do you do with sharing that information with them? Like,
that's a great question.
Just curious. Inquiring minds want to know.
It's something that I'm challenged with, and
I understand.
I could do a better job at. And I think also part of my leadership journey is that it's so much at the beginning. I really feel like I have just so much to learn, and I think there's such a fine line between, sharing your accomplishments and sharing how hard you work while motivating people, empowering them to do so,
right?
But not making them feel overwhelmed, like, oh, I'm never going to want to work that hard or have the ability to work that hard. And so that's tough. I just try to give it my all every day and
of course
let people see that. But it is a challenge at times to be perceived that way.
Understood. What has motivated you to this? You're describing what I think Dr. J.R. Flatter has talked about in Leadership Fredericksburg, that probably makes people a little uncomfortable when he first says it, because he tells the class, you are the exception. And he tells the class that it is okay that everybody is not quite at not the word level, but at your level of motivation, your level of it has to be over the hill, and that's okay because they're comfortable at a different level of motivation and movement. But what are your thoughts around that a little bit?
Yeah, I'd say it's all around communication, and communication is really key in understanding and unpacking together what motivates people.
Right.
We actually do several different exercises as a team. Our team is made up of 13 people.
Nice. That's a good size.
It's perfect.
That's like what they call a perfect size for like a board of directors.
Sure.
So that's your team.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we're small enough that everybody more intimately knows one another, but also big enough that we can, do what we need to do on a daily basis. But throughout the year, every single year, we go through different exercises together. Sometimes we've done like the 6 geniuses that I was inspired to bring to our group through Leadership Fredericksburg, and Janelle Donahue really championing that. But each time we've done something like that, we learn more and more about each other and what motivates each other, the ways that we all want to learn, the ways that we want to receive constructive criticism. But we also go through goal setting, and the goal setting that we go through as a team is not just professional. We do professional, of course, that's important, but we also do, philanthropic goals, personal goals, fitness goals even. And that really creates not only accountability partners, but it gives everybody the understanding of what we're all looking for. Because it's all very different. It's all very personal. And then through that, you learn about people's backgrounds more, and that drives really what motivates them, or what motivated them to get to this point, and then what's going to bring them to the next stage in their life.
That's pretty cool. And how nice of Cary Street to do those kinds of team building exercises. So where you really do bond as a team. That's great. Along the way, have there been, I'm sure more than one, but I'll just ask if you've had mentors that have supported you or been particularly meaningful in your journey.
Definitely. Yeah. I've had so many mentors in my life, kind of big and small impacts, mentors that may not even know that they're mentors to me. I've learned so much, maybe positive and negative, through leaders, that I've come across in my life. But really when I think about my biggest mentor, it'd be my business partner and one of the co-founders of our team, Dan Clendenin.
Okay.
And he's just been wonderful as a mentor towards me, and then also in assisting in running our team.
Right.
He's really been the champion to set up these types of forums where we all get together and we talk about those types of things and those goals and what keeps us up at night. I mean, I know that even the last time that we met in February, we do offsites twice a year where we go through all of these. I'm pretty sure that every single one of us shed a tear during that meeting.
Oh, wow.
So we get personal too. I mean, we talk about our struggles, our challenges, personally and professionally. But also that uncovers those motivations and those goals and drives. And Dan is one that has always inspired me because he's a path. He is always paving a path for people. And not only has he done that with me throughout my career path, but with everyone on our team, all of our clients, sometimes strangers, he's really looking for the way to drive people to their motivation. I mean, even if,
interesting.
Even if I came to him one day and said, I would like to pursue a career in public relations, for example, which likely won't happen, even though I'm happy with my financial plan. Sure. But if I said something like that, would it potentially make his life a little bit more difficult? Maybe. But he would still open doors for me in that area. I'm sure he'd be on the phone trying to figure out who he could talk to help me, get an interview, a job at a certain public relations firm or something like that. So, that's just something I've always looked up to. I think it would be extremely difficult in his position, but he does it with grace. And I've just been so impressed by that. Even if it makes his life more difficult, he's going to put that team member or sometimes stranger first.
Yeah, it sounds like he's high on, the relationship building and probably a term I think we've discussed some in the past, being very empathetic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And so sometimes I know, even as you just described it a little bit, that focus on so much of the personal relationship or empathy, it's a real strength. But every now and then when the business has to make sometimes like tough decisions or whatever, it can be more of a challenge. What are your thoughts around some of that?
Yeah, I think empathy is one of, if not the most important qualities as a leader. It's something that comes relatively natural to me, but you can always work on improving traits like that. I do think it's a slippery slope. We were talking earlier, you mentioned Dr. J.R. Flatter, and in one of our Leadership Fredericksburg sessions, he was talking about the importance of empathy, but he also said to be careful because you can actually empathize yourself to death. And while that seemed a bit extreme, it really spoke to me because sometimes I have felt so empathetic towards a situation or a person in a certain situation that it makes it extremely difficult to look for improvements in, potentially quality of work or something like that when you really think about, what they might be going through. So I think there's a slippery slope that you need to be careful not to kind of push over that edge because you also want to remain firm as a leader and make sure that people are driving forward. But also, I find giving the benefit of the doubt to be one of the most important things in leadership, giving grace. I learned some of that actually in business school at Mary Washington. And just, if someone's having a terrible day, maybe they're not performing up to a certain standard, and asking questions first rather than just expressing that to someone.
Sort of assuming positive intent and then trying to get to the bottom of it.
Exactly.
And lots of times once you start asking those questions, it's never what you thought, right? And sometimes you might find yourself sitting there going, oh my goodness, because especially if it's a workplace issue that's causing the problem versus, let's say, personal, and they've been afraid to speak up.
Right.
And then you're both in this period of afraid. Like you're like, I don't want to step over and hurt someone.
Of course.
And I don't want to ask the question and look stupid. Meanwhile, the question or the issue is out there not being fixed.
Right.
And it's that communication piece. So I think in this complex time where like AI is taking over the world and so forth, I'm curious your thoughts on that. But it's all missing that human element.
Definitely.
Where just really that connection and, togetherness can make the difference on everything.
Yeah. And that brings me back to like leading by example. Like if I'm not willing to ask a dumb question, for lack of better words, if I'm not,
you're like, I'm going to look bad if I ask this question.
Yeah. But if I'm not willing to do that, that's not empowering someone else to be willing to do that. And I learned that very early on too in college. And I started college as someone who was terrified to raise my hand. And I ended college being the only person to raise my hand every single time.
Sitting in the front row.
Exactly. But it's just because, you get comfortable being wrong. And
sure.
That's great. Even when I started in my career, I would ask a lot of questions. And I was told by actually our other co-founder of our team, Doug Stewart, he said, never come to me with a question without 3 possible answers.
That's interesting.
And it was great advice because not only did it push me to not only find the answer first, or, if it's not one of those 3, we can go back to the drawing board. But it gave me the opportunity to be wrong. And he said, if you come to me with 3 incorrect answers, it's fine. We can talk that through, but just come to me with those possibilities. And so then from there on, I was wrong a lot.
Yeah, sure.
I learned a lot through that if I hadn't tried.
That exploratory process. That's pretty cool.
Exactly.
Yeah. So today, do you think you might get 2 out of 3 wrong instead of 3 wrong? Or how's your process come since then, do you think?
It's improved so much. And really, I owe a lot of that to that that advice from him. I mean, nowadays I don't necessarily go with those questions.
Sure.
I just figure them out on my own. And that's been very empowering to me. And then also something that I want to pass along to others because of the growth that it's helped me achieve.
Yeah. It sounds like you are like a sponge and you pick up new ways, new methodology with everything you do. That is pretty darn cool. I should think that you're a treasured member of any team you're on.
Thank you.
I know you are. I've watched. What are your thoughts as you look towards the future? Because you've got such a sunny future.
Thank
I
you.
think,
Yeah.
and so much that you can do both in community and with business. I know you have great goals there with your financial advising and assistant VP, and maybe tell us a little bit more about what that actually is.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'm part, like I said, of that 13-person team. Our goal as a team is really financial planning first. I'm a certified financial planner, so kind of my day in, day out is not only stewarding the clients that we currently have, but for any new clients working through comprehensive financial plans where we look at every detail of their financial lives, both quantitatively and qualitatively, and really start to build them a plan. I'm all around planning. I think it's one of the most important things in the world. Not only for your financial life, but in other matters as well. And then we are really, the quarterback for those individuals and those families in terms of helping them follow the plan. The plan is going to change. We always say, don't put this on a shelf and never view it again. It'll be irrelevant in a couple of years. Some of it will be at least. And so it's important to have someone there that's really focused on keeping you on track and helping you adapt when the plan does change or when the circumstances change. So that's really like our main goal as a team is to help families through that, which is a wonderful privilege to be able to work alongside people, through the highs and lows of their lives. I mean, we're around when family members pass away unexpectedly, but we're also around when people get married and when they have children and, some of the best periods of their lives. And that's the greatest part about what I do. But it's wonderful. We're all always striving to be better as a team. So that's why we do things like the, semi-annual offsites, and we're always trying to get better. And I'm personally always trying to get better at not only what I do, but my role in the team. So, looking forward into the future, I hope to take on an even greater role as a leader in our team. And then in the community as well. I mean, I feel like with Rotary, I'm still very much in that environment, and I love it. And I'm not leaving until they kick me out. But really, kind of the next chapter of my life too will be somewhat focused around leadership as part of our family. We're actually having a baby in January.
So exciting!
Yes, it would be a fun new chapter. Will come with many challenges, I'm sure. So that will shift my life in a dramatic way. So I'm going to kind of wait and see how that's going to affect leadership in other areas. I hope too that I can lead by example in that, in that respect. I haven't worked with too many other women financial advisors who have had children and who have gone through that process while maintaining their career paths. I've actually had several clients since they found out I was pregnant ask, so you're going to quit after you have the baby, right? And I said, no, I'm not going anywhere. So that's been interesting too. And just the perception of, women leaving the workforce after having children. And
even in 2025.
Even in 2025.
Wow, my goodness.
Yeah. So, and I very much, I'm sure I will be eager to come back after a short, stint at home. But I just know that that's going to make me a better financial planner as well, because, a lot of our clients go through that process with their careers. Maybe they have setbacks, maybe they don't, but children are expensive. So it'll just make me better. I feel like everything I've gone through in my life has made me a better financial planner. So I'm really grateful for that.
Super exciting. All right. Well, I'm going to go a little rogue here, since, as I'm listening to you talk about loving planning. So do you ever go to the grocery store without a list?
I am trying to think. Only if it's one of those days where you go and you just had forgotten one thing and you need to go get that one thing. But otherwise, very, very rarely, I always have a list, and I have it in the order of the way that I'm going to go around the grocery store.
There you have it, folks. Not just the list, but in the order of the store. Do you deviate from the list when you get there? Like, do you see something over there on that shelf and go, oh yeah, I'm going to grab that too?
Rarely, but I'm open to indulgences for sure. Oftentimes it's at the very end, because that's where the frozen section is. So a lot of times,
see some ice cream.
Oh yeah, I'm blaming it on the baby right now. I'm like, oh, the baby wants ice cream. It's just me.
I mean, I think the way people, an individual purchases their groceries is really a great indicator on kind of how they do everything.
That's
right?
True.
Because not only do you have the list, but you have it in the order. I think that's great. I've known other people like that, that also do the order, which just blows my mind. That's pretty good.
I can't imagine not doing it. I'd be walking all over. I mean, it's like a race when I get in there. I feel like I would want to time myself and see. So that's too funny. I can't imagine it any other way. I've never thought about analyzing that too. And now I'm going to ask everybody their process. What do you do?
So it's both.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have it together.
Okay. Yeah.
And I have my list. It is not in order of where things are in the store.
Sure.
But if I have that list, I'll even, I'll be zigzagging back and forth. Oh, yep, I forgot to grab that. Or I wasn't looking, it's got to be handwritten. I don't do as well if it's on my phone.
Yep, I'm the same way.
So it's, where I have this, and I cut it out. Like I literally cut a little index card and have it sitting there. But other times I go completely without the list. And that's just a disaster. It's but I'm probably 50-50, to be honest.
Nice.
So I don't know. That kind of describes how I am too, how sometimes I'm very detailed and methodical with work and whether it's personal or work. Other times I'm very flexible and loose and all that. So I think now that you asked it and threw it back at me, a little bit of both.
That's great. I do think there's something to doing things not always the exact same way. Like I actually think your brain appreciates a change in your routine. Like I try to do something different in my morning routine, like before I get to work every day. So like I walk the dog at probably a different time every day. It's not that I, leave it.
Bubbles is so confused.
As long as she gets breakfast, she does not care. But I do think, there's great things to say about, being rigid with your schedule and having a great routine. But I kind of view it as also having flexibility is pushing myself to grow in different ways and figure out maybe there is a better way. If you do the same exact thing every single day, you never understand if there's a better way of doing things.
Well, then, and what happens when something doesn't work?
Great point. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I love it. I absolutely love that list. I'm going to think about that. I'm going to try to write my next grocery list that way.
It's so fun. You'll feel so efficient.
Yeah, well, one thing I do like to do, Brittany, is time it and to go when there aren't crowds.
Oh, smart.
Especially since the world changed and there's all the Instacart stuff. Yeah. I don't want to be shopping with Instacart all around me.
Sure, I get it.
Yeah, because they're on a mission.
Absolutely,
they've got their list that they've got, like, it's timed and everything, and you're like, I got in the way of the Instacart. It's so great, but you know what? All kudos to folks doing business, whatever it is. Yeah. So it's been fun talking with you. We've covered a lot of stuff around your journey and how you're growing in the community and the things that you hope to do. Is there anything else you'd want to share with our listeners today?
I would say really to focus on embracing your own, trying to think of the word. Sorry.
It'll come to you. It's okay.
I'd say embracing your true self in terms of what comes naturally to you, and also pairing that with a goal for improvement and lifetime learning. When I started Leadership Fredericksburg, as you well know, we start the first class by having taken the Right Path assessment, which is the first assessment as of Leadership Fredericksburg, and then you're given kind of your right path, which is like your quality. How would you explain that better?
Well, it's really about understanding self. So it's a personality profile tool that we use that gives you the opportunity to answer questions that are the most like your natural preferences. So it's not anybody else saying how you show up or anything like that. It's you and how you kind of see the world, how you would naturally most react to things and prefer things. Yeah.
Perfect. So when we did walk through that process, my right path is a deep thinker. That was not a surprise to me. I was like, I'll probably be an analyzer or a deep thinker. And we came out deep thinker. And again, not a surprise. I was the only one of our whole class as a deep thinker, which felt a little lonely at first. But that was also because I thought there was something wrong with that. And I thought to really be a leader, I can't be thinking about things so deeply. I need to be more assertive. I need to be the first person to speak and give my feedback. And I really thought that was something I needed to fix about myself. But rather, through Leadership Fredericksburg, I learned to embrace that quality in me and then kind of surround that quality with ways that I could enhance that to be a better leader in my community and in my business. And that's been really empowering and helpful because I'm not veering from my natural inclinations. I'm taking that, I'm understanding what it means for me, and I'm also pushing myself through other areas. So I'd say to just embrace those qualities in yourself is extremely important, just to stay true to yourself. I think that people can see through it if you're not, being yourself and being a genuine version of that person, but also continue to grow. I mean, if I'm ever becoming stagnant in my leadership journey and in my growth, in my learning, then I've done something terribly wrong and I should probably retire. So I think lifetime learning is huge.
Yeah, it sure is. Well, thank you for sharing all of that. And I think you described it very well, knowing and understanding that the qualities around, let's say, being what Right Path terminology says is a deep thinker, would mean that you couldn't have been so flexible in the conversation we're having right here today. That could have been a struggle for you.
Sure.
Especially there's been, I give our guests sort of a framework that we follow lightly when we come in. And so we'll put in different questions and ideas and thoughts the way the conversation goes naturally. And if you were still kind of caught or stuck kind of in that place, that would have been like me throwing curveballs at you and made you very uncomfortable. So it probably still made you a little bit uncomfortable, but you've gotten used to, we've been working on that muscle that takes you outside of, as you've mentioned, your comfort zone and done great with it. And what we know is, though, if you've got your choice, you'd rather kind of sit back and give it more thought and kind of hang out and go at your pace that you like. But you know that to succeed and work well with others, you're going to push yourself up. That's just great.
Definitely.
So thank you for sharing all that today. It's been a great example for the Leader to Leader podcast.
Thank you so much, Susan, for having me.
Yeah, it's been a joy. And I hope some of our listeners learned a little bit about financial planning. If that's something that they haven't considered at whatever stage you are in your journey, look up more information about that and take control of that part of your life. And if you need to reach out to somebody like Brittany, we'll have the website for Cary Street Partners attached to any of the marketing materials we put out from the interview.
Great.
Okay. And so we'll go ahead and wind it up here and just say thank you to you for being our guest. Brittany Doughty, who is the financial advisor and assistant vice president at Cary Street Partners. We thank our listeners for spending time with us today. We hope you'll like the Leader to Leader podcast and subscribe and know when other episodes come up where you can learn more about other awesome leaders in the Fredericksburg, Virginia region. And again, thank you, and we'll see you next time.